Social media isn't evil, it's not negative, and it certainly isn't going to be the end of us. But if we don't do something, if we don't change the way that we interact, the way that we consume, the way that we create content, then we are going to cause a damage, not just to ourselves, but to future generations. At least that's what I think. But as I said, it is within our control. We are the ones at the wheel here. We are the ones that are here for this technological advance, our generation, and we can make a real difference to future generations. So in this video, I'll just share 7 things. It's from a podcast episode, so I'll be sort of talking to the mic and talking to you as well. But I'm just going to share these 7 things with you. If you want to listen to the full episode, you're welcome to on my podcast. It's called Tommy G Talks, and it's available on Spotify, it's available on iTunes and Amazon and others. But hey, thanks for being here. Without further ado, I'm going to cut now into the main body of the content. Cheers for watching. The first thing that we can do, number 1, is we can create and consume content that's leading by example, by the sort of aspirations and ambitions of what and who you are as a person, what you'd like to learn, what you'd like to become, being very honest about that and the journey that it involves, not being perfect, not being the finished article, but instead leading by example. And I think any situation where we're able to lead by example is the best that we can do probably in that moment in time. So I've often talked to people about, how to make more of an impact online, how to produce content that's more positive and impactful. And what I always say is just lead by example. Do things that you'd be proud of for your kids to see, or children that in your life to see, to watch, to listen to learn and go, would they be proud of that? Would that be something that helps them or hinders them? And if you take those answers, you're able to diagnose yourself whether you are doing something that is in fact leading by example or not. So consider that as a point. Point number 2, do things, consume things, and make things that are positive for the environment. And that's not just our planet, but that's our digital environment and quite literally our environment in our lives. You can follow people who nurture and nourish you, or you can follow people who trigger you, make you feel bad about yourself, negative, scared, content about the end of the world and stuff like that. Do you really need that in your life? You've got to ask yourself that question and shape a positive environment. I know that I'm a 34-year-old man, and I'm someone who's invested a lot of time in my own self-development, my own learning on how to think and feel and understand emotions. And I still come away sometimes from particularly TikTok feeling like scared of all these bad things that could happen. And the algorithm is feeding me those because it understands that I'm interested in it. I'm teaching it that because I'm watching the videos and I'm sticking about to hear what they have to say. And I'm noticing how bad I feel and how anxious I feel and how I want to, protect. And that protection, that insecurity grows within me. And I'm, as I say, a 34-year-old man that's very much aware of these things. What about a 16-year-old that hasn't yet understood these things about life or understood as much as I have? How is that shaping their understanding of the world? It terrifies me as a parent. And so that's why I think we have to make sure that we're setting an example, yes, but also creating a positive environment for our kids and our teenagers in the world that are out there trying to figure out, trying to learn. Where did you get your information from when you were a teenager? It was probably from parents, grandparents, teachers, figures of authority in your life, not from some fucking idiot on social media that's just pumping loads of fear just for the sake of getting likes and follows. Come on, we've got to think about this, haven't we? We've got to think about this now properly before it runs away from us. If we lose our kids, if we lose their attention, if we lose their trust and they think that we're not worthy, or even if we haven't got that depth of knowledge or understanding because we're so insecure in ourselves, how are we possibly going to teach them to be better? So we've got to take control of that. The time to do that is now, okay? And that's a positive statement. We can all do that, and we can do it little by little, but it's very important that we do that. I certainly will do my best to do that for my children. Number 3 is we can focus on making a positive impact, sharing messages and following people who are out there to make a positive impact. let's see through the bullshit. It's time to open our eyes a little bit and see what is pretentious and see what is not quite genuine, and understand where to look for that, make a positive impact ourselves as well by sharing information and content that is positive natured. Number 4, we can spend our money in positive ways. And there's a lot of opportunity when you have money. You can feed something useful and positive, or you can feed something negative. You can buy local, or you can shop on Amazon. And don't get me wrong, I shop on Amazon. It's very useful, very convenient. But where possible, can you make more of an effort? I know I could do that. I could make more of an effort. But also, spending your money not in areas that feed the problem, but in areas that help build the solution. I'm not going to go into that too deeply because I personally am not 100% sure as to what I could share that would be helpful, but I know it's important. I can just feel it. Next, thinking about collaboration in life. Less competition, more collaboration. As a race, I think we're very protective and insecure, and I think our insecurity will get the better of us a lot of the time, when really we could probably collaborate a little more and share more, and know there's plenty to go around if we're able to just give. Again, I'm not perfect. I don't claim to be doing this all the time myself, but I can see it as a real positive way to set an example and spread some positive energy into the internet. Because remember, this is just a tool, and we're feeding it all the time. If we keep feeding it our insecurity, it's going to think that's what we want, and it's going to give us more of it. It's going to cause us to feel more fear, more anxiety. Totally not what we want for ourselves or our kids. Next, showing courage. Let's champion courage, real courage. And by the way, you're only able to actually have courage if at first you have vulnerability. You cannot create courage or show courage synthetically without vulnerability. Vulnerability is the soil in which courage can grow. And that vulnerability cannot be faked either. It has to feel like to be vulnerable. You have to really kind of not want to do it because you're scared of, or you're aware of what others might say or think about that. That's pure vulnerability. But in doing that, you're able to actually combat this whole insecurity trap that we're in. We're trapped in our own insecurity a lot of the time, and courage and showing courage can really help to bring us out of that. And lastly, I think we can give back, and we can give back in, quietly. We don't have to be making a song and dance out of it. We can give our time as a minimum. We can give our energy. We can give money that we earn. We can give belongings, but we can give back. We can give back to the areas that have helped us, and we can really own and embody and improve, actually, the roles that other people have played in our lives to help us to get to where we are now. If we don't do that, if we don't become a generation that sets an example, but instead are too busy consuming, we will struggle later down the line. Our kids, as I said, we'll lose our kids to the loudest voice on the internet. We will not, but we'll regret it, I think, as a generation. So as a generation, we have to look at the people that inspired us and helped us and think, how can we become that? How can we improve on that? What can we do to learn from that experience, that feeling, and become that in the real world? We can use the internet as a way of showing and displaying these actions, but really it's what we do all of the time that counts, or at least most of the time. And by being there and being able to show your attention and be present with young people, I think is really important, because the young people don't know any different. They're coming into this world unaware that there is a credible source of positive leadership and trust and love in this person, but instead I'm going to gravitate towards this digital world where my insecurities get the better of me. And it's sad, and it's already happening a little bit, but I think we've got to get it, and we've got to get there, and we're the only ones that can do it. As I said at the beginning, we are the generation that hold the wheel here. We are the generation that decides what happens with this, and we have to create control, you know, and our mind's like the path of least resistance, and the more that technology develops, the more that it does for us, the less we're doing for ourselves, and the more space there is to become idle and lazy and complacent and to get taken advantage of. And I think we have to raise our game, raise our energy, raise our efforts higher than or faster than the development of technology. And to do that, we've got to do a lot more. We've got to be able to spend time in silence. We've got to be able to share and talk to each other and listen to each other, most importantly. We've got to read more, share more, write more, touch more, be in touch more, not just to rely on the complacency and the ease of technology. So these are some of the things that I'm thinking today. Again, I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. You're more than welcome to get a microphone, get on YouTube and share your own thoughts. Of course, I'd encourage that as part of this. But also, if you don't want to do that, then I'm happy, I'm comfortable doing these things, which is why I do them. Then just join the conversation or not. You could also perhaps just take on board something useful from this podcast or this video here, and just embody it, become a slightly better version of yourself. And if that's the case, then job done. But thank you for listening to this episode or watching this episode of Tommy G Talks. A bit of a thoughtful one, a bit of a deep one, but I think a really important thing that if you're listening this far in, I'm sure you're probably agreeing with me. So yeah, thanks for listening. Let me know how you took this one, either via email tommy@tommygentleman.com, or best place probably Instagram @tommygentleman. All right, thanks a lot. If you're watching on YouTube, you can use the comment section. I'll see you again, and I'll speak to you again in the next episode. That's all for now.